Yeah. And I do this by using the leech in the main. A lot of people use the scissors method, where you go to the gunnel of the boat, get onto the mast. This is a good quick way to do it. And it guarantees the mast is square to the sail. Sheet all the way out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to over tension. This doesn't go all the way out far enough, by the way. If everybody can come behind me and look at the angle of these sails, he's only at about 75 to 80 degrees on the jib boom. And you definitely want at least the leech to reach 90. You don't want the leech to pass 90 unless you feel on purpose. Usually in light air, you go a little past 90, you know it's there. You can find the leech, just a little bit, jib leech. But if you have any usually this setting is programmed with a winch. You should not be able to do more than a few degrees on the sail, on the transmitter. Alright, so now our mast is straight up and down. We're going to take the bang, we're going to ease it. We're going to set our downwind twist to the conditions that we are sailing in today. You can still keep in mind what we just did. As you loosen things up, I can see that I'm still tight on the original side. Yeah. It doesn't hurt to do that. I don't do it, but that's not a bad idea. Like for instance, now I'm going to loosen it at quarter turn so that I can get some slack, but I don't know where I started. Set our upwind twist. All right, here's another thing. Sheet up just a little bit so we don't break anything. Everybody come on in and I want to show you some of the little details about rigging these boats. Look what happened here, just here on shore. If it happens on shore, it's guaranteed to happen outside on the water. We've got a twist that is hooked onto the bottom of this zip tie.
That zip tie is on there because the end of the boom has a split in it.
Okay. If you need to do something like this,
Buy a new boom.
buy a new boom,
Well, yeah,
that's
the process.
fixed now.
Okay.
Okay? The other part is to always make sure that your topping lift goes all the way to the very end of your boom. This is the same for any class boat, any radio control boat that has a topping lift on the jib. If your topping lift does not close at the very aft end of the boom, let's say this was set up 2 millimeters in, I see a lot of EC12s that do this. This thing is set up on another fitting to one other way somehow. If this has the capability of doing that, it will. And then when you sheet all the way in, do it just a little bit, slowly, you're dead centered and you can't do anything about it. Sometimes you can't fix it, sheet out. You can't fix it without coming ashore. See here, it actually got underneath there.
Yeah.
All right, now we'll shoot back in. So we have our downwind twist setting is good. I'm going to assume that we had not set this boat up in the past, and I'm going to ease the ram all the way off. We have a whole bunch of twist right now. The mast ram is your upwind twist setting. Geometry, as the boom goes out, the leech does not see that aft bend anymore. It only sees up and down. So as the boom goes out, the vang tightens naturally. When you come back in, it's loose. A lot of people see this and they say, oh, I need some vang. If they put the vang on here, you ease the boom out, now your vang's too tight downwind. Ram does. It is the most important setting on an IOM. See that? 100% control. And don't worry about what the mast looks like. If your rake is right, your downwind twist is right, you put this ram where your sail looks good. If you've got an inverse bend in the bottom of your mast, but your sail is perfect, who cares, right? And that doesn't happen so much in with a Britpop. It's so refined that it should look right all the time. But if you're just a hair, a couple millimeters off or whatever, you don't have any wrinkles, don't worry about it. Go sailing. I like to go a little over on the ram when I'm initially setting it up. It's a little easier to ease off just a hair than it is to try to tighten it up once it's real close.
Is there a number you like at the top boom, the top back?
You know, I don't use numbers, but I think it's a good idea. I've been doing this so long that I can put the boat out on the water and say, you know what, this will create weather helmet is not right, or you won't have enough feel. But don't hesitate to use the numbers because they are out there and they do work. They will get you very close. Will this go out? Will this lay down some more? Yeah. At this point, we've got the main set the way we like it as far as twist is concerned. Right now I'm looking at the bend of the mast. It's pretty close to the main, so I'm going to be okay with it. I'm fine with it. But it's got a really tight entry right now. And I'm going to ease the luff just a little bit. The ram. Now, with the downhill, putting down.
And you're okay with some scalloping up on the luff on the main?
Well, I don't want to be pulling it flat. But in these conditions, no, I don't want it to scallop either. The bottom half of it, yes, absolutely okay with it.
In lighter air, you're okay.
As long as it doesn't psych out your mind. If you're the kind of guy that gets psyched out because of a wrinkle. Definitely get rid of it. I sail
The only
fins.
thing I see when I look at the damn boat.
I sail fins, and they have wrinkles in 30 knots, so it doesn't ever bother me. The other thing we want to double check is to make sure that we have enough control here on the jib, and we don't have enough here. In a big puff, what's going to happen is the jib is going to lift, and you're going to lose your power on the jib, but the main is going to continue with power, and that's going to give you weather helm. The only way to fix that is you can move this back a little bit, but it decreases your pointing angle, or you can go with some more backstay. If you go with some more backstay, you have to always adjust the ramp, and that's what we're going to do here. You're going to pull on some backstay. You're going to be kind of going back and forth here at this point. If you go with too much backstay, you're going to end up getting wrinkles up here. If you don't have enough backstay, you won't have any control here. Because of the geometry, it doesn't take a whole lot of backstay to get what you need once you're close. See the wrinkles here? You get rid of them with ram. When you rig your boat, do the best you can to set up your bowsies to pull in the direction that you're trying to adjust. This one here, I'm pulling the bowsy up to pull the sail down. And it's really difficult to do that sometimes. It's not that it won't work, it's just that the other way is easier. It won't make your boat go faster or slower, but it will make it easier to tune. Okay, this boat does not have a jack line. That's one of the things that I'm having a hard time with on the boat. If you guys want to come over here and look at this entry on the main, it's not a bad entry because it's pretty windy today. You are at the top end. It's not going to hurt you a whole lot. But when you don't have a jack line on the main, there's a really fine line between those big scallops on the left and having it too tight. It's either wrinkled or it's too tight. The jack line is another adjustment where you can put tension on the entry of the main, but not hold the shape out. It holds it in place, but it doesn't flatten anything. So with this fine entry right here, it's okay because of the breeze, like I said, but I would like to have it just a little, I'd like to bring the draft a little farther forward, and I can't. I could do it by easing the outhaul, but that changes the whole sail and not just the luff. I'm going to leave it as is. A good example is what we have on the jib right now. I would like to get a little shape in the main like we have in the jib. And here's what the main is doing. The main is pulling it out. You see what we're doing with the luff of the jib here?
Do you have an adjustment for the jib on the bottom?
Mine is on the bottom mainly because I try to keep it as clean at the top as possible. One of the other rigging things I want to show you here, if anybody comes in, the jib at the top, it's not going to be a problem today because there's plenty of breeze. But we have a hook that's attached to the mast, and then we have 3 lines that are attached to that hook. In this case, the eyelet is side to side. Our topping lift is on the left side of the hook. Our halyard is in the middle, and our headstay is on the right. So in your mind, you take away all the wind, and all you have is tension. What do you think the jib is going to want to do? It's going to want to turn to the direction, the orientation that you have these 3 lines hooked to this eye. It's going to pull the jib to the clue will go to the left. When you're in a drifting race, there's 2 knots out there, maybe less, and then you go downwind, you've got a half a knot of pressure on your sail, and you want to jibe to the other side. This is not going to let you do it. You've got a free bend in the mast, you have to pull that free bend out, so there's always tension. It's not like a big boat where you can just ease the backstay and have somebody hold on to the sheet and keep the jib down. You're always going to have tension on this triangle up here. So what most people do is instead of having all 3 of these going to the eye, you take one string, tie it to the eye of the hook on the mast, give yourself 10 millimeters, put another ring on it, and then take all 3 of these lines to that ring. Now you only have 1 pivot point instead of 3. It makes all the difference in the world in a light air day. It can make a difference in a medium day when you've got tension and you want to jibe to the other side. It'd be like, well, why does my jib keep falling back in? Everybody else is doing fine. This is a very common, I don't want to call it a problem, but it's a problem. Yeah. I think you're right. But it's just a lack of knowledge is all.
Would it be wise to run your jib cloth down, your jib loop versus and have a straight line up there?
Say again?
If you ran a straight line for your jib, your cloth control, then you had your cloth control on the end of the boat.
Not with you, Chuck.
So you get rid of one of the bowsies up here.
Oh, yeah.
Here.
I run my Cunningham on the boom.
Okay.
I didn't used to because I generally, when I'm tuning my boat,
You just
I'm
stand
looking
up.
at it from up here. But I tend to start putting things down on the boom these days. If for no other reason, it's a cleaner look. But you're gonna find that mixed. There are a lot of people that still like it up top. I really don't think an extra bowsy is going to be a problem with windage.
It's not about windage at all. It's
Right.
about getting rid of the twist.
Exactly. So using the eye, you're going to want to use the eye no matter what.
Right.
Because even if you don't have a bowsy up here, you still need that string.
Right.
What I do sometimes is, if the bowsy's down here, I can take the halyard and tie it to the top eye of the head stay.
Right.
So you would only have 2 going up to the ring. But no matter what, you've got a topping lift and a head stay. You've got to have that ring up here in between the attach point.
What if you ran the top of the way up top? The other one by itself.
As long as only one line goes to this eye on the hook, you can do it any way you want. It's going to work.
Now, would the ring be on the C and the B as well?
Yes, it's the same on all 3. But it's less important for you to be in the C because it's going to be blowing 20 knots or more at that point. But yeah, get into the habit of rigging all your boats the same way. How old are these sails? They're new. Are they? Yep. I'm a little concerned with this right here. I don't know why it's there. It looks like you've got some heat damage right here. If you come over here and feel this. That part of the sail.
That would move because I knew it was shallow. I knew it when I spread off. I just had to see how far it would go.
I've seen it at times. I've seen these types of things out of sea, which means the sail was built wrong. But I've never seen something like this right out in the middle of a panel before.
That means you jibbed it?
Yeah.
Each one of your seams is inverted. Little each.
They go away when I That'll keep it from sliding. You can still pull it off if you have to re-rig something, but it won't move on its own. You've got some CA, I would suggest doing that today. Even without the file, it'll still help hold it in place. There's not a whole lot of tension on it, but when you're luffing, it will move out. Makes a big difference in the draft right up here at the top. If you pull it back, the draft goes away. If you move it forward, it's kind of the same as mass bed, really. That's about all I've got. Any questions?
What's your preference? Pilots like this or jack lines?
Jack lines.
Okay.
We talked about that about 15 minutes ago. The reason for a jack line is it allows you to position the luff on the mast without taking tension off the luff of the sail. I can tighten the jack line and center the luff or get it close to center on the mast, but I can still keep a decent amount of draft in it if I want to. It's just one extra setting that we really want to have, especially in a breeze like this. I want to be able to keep that luff up tight and close to the mast without taking, I mean, this is literally taking all the shape out completely. It's a really flat entry. It's not bad for flat water and good straight line speed. But in waves and getting your initial momentum off the start line or through at the end of coming out of a pack or something like that, it's just nice to have a little bit of draft there. It's real nice to have three that do that for you. It's one of the things that the marbleheads have. You can adjust draft while you're sailing with a knob.
What on your sheeting angles? Now you had them out downwind, or you at 590, and then
Depending on the pressure of the wind and the leech.
okay, and then where's your max upwind trim? Is that like a function of the tuning guide?
It's a function of the tuning guide and the designer. He's done his homework and he's done his development. He's going to tell you the optimum sheeting angles for the main and the jib.
Okay. And that goes to like the 95 as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Vickers boats are a drastic difference from a lot of the other ones. You have the main set out 10 or 15 millimeters on a condition like today, whereas these are only 5.
Okay.
And so you can't look at a different design and say, well, my boat isn't set up the same.
Yeah.
If you try to pull in the sheets on a Vickers boat, the boat just stalls. And it's a really hard learning curve if you're not used to it. I'm ready when you are. If you want to give it a go. Oh yeah, that's right. Okay.
Tighten the ball.
Yeah, let's tighten that ball up.
Hit the front of the yellow tape.
Flash
Cunningham.
Yeah. Is that